What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the first episode of Life is Feudal. Maybe, I don't know, we're just checking in on this game. So actually, this game enjoyed its Steam release a couple of days ago, and it actually flew right by me. I hadn't even noticed. And what I'd like to do now with the new format of the channel is like things that I did like a full 30-episode series on back when they were in their earliest of early alphas. I'd like to check back in on them and just kind of see how they differ when they release. And so anyways, we've got, this one's called Dangermon. That sounds like a super badass Digimon that used to get back in the day. Village is Saxondale. Ooh, that's the village right there. We're going to be the village of Saxondale. We're probably not going to be the village of Saxondale. So that looks like, I'm trying to find like a sufficiently butt-cheek looking island. That one seems alright. Every single one of these looks like butt cheeks pressed up on a copy machine. Do they even have copy machines anymore? Do those exist? Do people still use those? I wonder if they do. Oh, that one's... Yeah, that one looks a little bit more organic. We can make it hills, plains, the climate can be mild or harsh, we can have disasters. We're not going to be Saxondale, we're going to be Bootybrook. Everybody wants to live in Bootybrook. Alright, so let's hang out for a minute and have a look around and see what we can do here. It looks like we started off in our village, and actually the villagers look a little bit different now than they used to. I'm pretty happy about that. So we're sitting here, I'm going to freeze the game. We're on the edge of a forest at the moment. Oh wow, that's a very forested area. Holy bejeebus, we're like in a new land where trees just go for days. You can't even see how many trees there be. It's like a sea of trees that there be out here with thee. Alright, well, let's go back to Bootybrook and see what we can get going here. Bootybrook now has all the booty. So we've got, up in our resources stash, we've got like fish, we've got bread, we don't have any fish pies. That sounds pretty disgusting anyways, so I don't think I would go for that. High quality tools, primitive tools, alright. Let's go through our little menus here and see what we can manage to bring around. We can tell them to collect all resources. I'm going to need building space. So yeah, do everything you can over here to knock that beezy down. Aside from that, we're probably going to want to go through and find some resources. Let's go ahead and speed the game up slightly. I don't think we're at too much of a risk. I think we should get some fishermen. That's something that I am strongly agreed on, is that I think we need fishermen. And until we have fishermen, we can't have the fishies. So that looks about right to me. Cannot build in this area. Okay, I'll figure it out. There we go. I got the directionality right. So it takes hay and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I actually, if we're going to do it like that, we might as well just put them down here, like on the edge of town. I don't know if we'll have enough workers to make this happen. But for now, we've got to get people trucking on these resources. I'm going to put it on 10x speed, and let's just let it run for a minute. Let's just let it run. As always, when you play Life is Feudal Forest Village, make sure you're assigning workers. So when you click on something that needs to be built, you click on this little thing right here, and this number is how many workers you have and how many can fit. You click on this right here to increase the number of people working on the project, so that you'll have more people over here. It's an easy oversight to make, and I see a lot of new players that don't end up doing that. You definitely do want to do that. If you don't, then nothing's going to happen. In addition, the same thing can be done through this menu over here. You can actually go through and you can add or subtract people from a job. I'm going to put in 3 fishermen for right now because I want to make sure that I have lots and lots of jobs taking place, making a little bit of money. Now, as I recall, fish were not that great of a food resource when the alpha first came out. I remember fish being somewhat like they were okay. They were good for getting you through the winter if you already had a food shortage, but other than that, they weren't super amazing. They're working on the forest over here. Once they get some space all nice and cleared out, we should be in better shape. Let me take a look at my population menu here. We've got 3 out of 6 workers. What else do we have going on? What other fun little menus can I click on? Ah, we've got resource limits. Okay, that's the limit on the amount that they'll store. We've got our mini-map. We've got increased building and gathering priority. Ah, okay, so that's cool. Nice. It doesn't look like too much has changed. They've added a lot more buildings since the last time I played the game, though, actually. There are a ton more buildings. How many people live inside these shacks over here? So it looks like we probably need some more houses too. So let me slow the game down. I'm going to put some builders on building some houses over here. Just so we can have a couple. That's a small house right there. I don't know, man. That house seems kind of grandiose to me. I can give them the little huts or whatever. The huts aren't a big deal. Yeah, I'll put in a couple more huts over here. Just so maybe we get a few more people to come in and live with us. And then as I do that, we'll unpause the game. We'll put it back on 5 times so that at least something is taking place here. And on my population menu, I'm going to put a few more people on building priority. I'll take them off building priority once these houses are all nice and done. But up until that point, it doesn't really matter. I was hoping they would chop the trees a little bit sooner. But there's a little pile of wood. That'll work. So apparently our fisherman died because she wouldn't feed herself. It appears as though some bugs still exist inside the confines of the game, because we have plenty of food in the stockpiles. Everything's going perfectly fine. It said she had no house and she had no food. And we have 3 houses, so we have 3 houses. Each house, oh, there's teenagers living in the houses, though. Ah, that would be the issue. She probably didn't have a house then. My bad, I may have killed a builder. I killed a builder. There we go. And so after a little bit of time, our village has grown. It's not the nicest village, but it is a village nonetheless. It's a village that we live inside of. No one shall speak ill of Bootybrook. Let he who speaks ill of Bootybrook be struck with sticks and shit. We can do a warehouse over here. We've got a barn. We've got caravan stables. I'm trying to decide what I really want to do here. I think gatherers are probably a good idea, too. We should probably... I'm going to put in another fisherman over here. So that's no fisherman. Got no fisherman. We ain't got no work to do fisherman, no. I would like to also... Let's continue doing our thing over here. I want all this cleared out because we need equitable building space, and until we get it, I can't really do much. And then I will also take... This is a slow-paced game. I think people get the wrong idea about this game sometimes. There's not a lot of things happening in this game. You're going to have some downtime. You're going to spend some time sitting there watching things take place. And that's just the way that this game goes. There's no way around it. It's a slow-paced building game. Some people want things to spring up instantly and fast and all over the place. And indeed, there is like a time 10 mode if you really want to be like... And you want to speed it up. You want to make it go a little faster. But for right now... I'm just going to get things ready for the future because we do have a couple of teenagers who I think are about to become adults. And once they become adults, they'll be a little bit more useful to us. We've got enough food to probably make it through the winter as we stand right now. We do need to chop some trees. I think they do the gathering first, though. Like, if we've got this little menu over here. Ah, that would be what I messed up then. Do I have a cancellation? Well... I was going to cancel out the order, but it seems like they're doing a pretty good job already, and in the process of doing this, they're picking up, like, raw ore and things off the ground, and those stones are, I think, going to have to move anyways. I'm going to leave these trees right here, though. These are the last survivors. These are the trees we're going to leave up so they can tell all the other trees, like, hey, watch out, man. These humans mean business. That's how I like to do it. You got to keep them scared. You got to keep them stupefied. But yeah, I'll cancel that right there so that we don't have to worry about the resource harvesting. Instead, I just want the trees cut down. I actually just need building materials. So if you guys can get these trees cut down, we'll make a nice little clearing and we'll start having our main street go down this way and we'll make a nice little T-junction. I hope you guys like this series. I love Life is Feudal, and it looked like, I don't know, I noticed something weird where it was like, what's going on right now with like my view counts on like random videos, and Life is Feudal was like blowing up the last couple of days, and I was like, what happened? And so I started digging around, and I found the game came out, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to check in on that. I'm going to check in on that and see how it's changed, because we played it like a year ago, I guess? It's been a while. I think I actually played this game before I moved to my new house, I'm pretty sure. It was around the time I moved to my new neighborhood. And so it's been a while since I've touched on the game. Got some deer and whatnot over here. Just give me some wood supply. That's all that I care about. Is if we can get some logs all nice and taken care of, I'll be quite a bit happier. There you go. Yep, chop that thing. Chop that thing, bro. And then this game has like a special thing where you can like jump into characters if you want to. Like, I don't remember exactly how you do it, but like you can, yeah. So we can take over like as this character should we desire to do so. And so there it is. I'm actually playing as like a peasant right now. And I've got special abilities and things that I can do. Like I can shoot bows at guys and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet. Like you can actually take part in combat with animals and whatnot now. Like Skyrim style. I think. People are talking about it on the forum, so we're going to check that out in a little bit. I'm going to go hunt like a... I'm going to shoot a boar with an arrow or something. I don't know. There's a bear over there. I don't know if I want to mess with the bear over there. He's got that air and he gave me that stare that make me think that he just don't care. And so maybe I'll leave him alone. So another feature you need to know about in this game is that everything is like not modular, but everything is upgradable. If you look at these little buildings right here, they'll have a little arrow up by the cancel button that allows you to upgrade buildings. And if you don't realize that you can do that, like you're missing out. Like it's very easy the first time you play the game to like bulldoze stuff and then like rebuild it if you don't know that that's available. And we can actually take these up through the tech tiers if we want to and make them a lot nicer. Now they've cleared out a pretty decent little space over here. I'm thinking that should we continue with the village, I've got enough to assign another fisherman because one of our people came of age. And so I'm going to go ahead and have the teenager who grew up to replace fisherwoman, Fisher Lady Jolie, whatever. She died horribly. That's all you need to know. She died with a scream in her throat. And so she died. We've got a couple more people ready to go. There are some little jobs waiting to be done. So I'm going to add some builders on in, and they'll start upgrading these houses over here. And that'll actually make them hold warmth better. They'll burn wood slower. More people can live inside of them. They can hold more food in their personal stockpile. Like, it's a good thing to have going on. Now, they should build things in the order that you place them down. That was how it worked the last time that I did it. So, for example, they should do this, then they should upgrade this, then they should upgrade this. If it's being done... Actually, did that get canceled? Oh, I didn't tell it to finalize. Yeah, go ahead and upgrade the buildings. I mean, we've got extra resources laying around, so I see no reason why we shouldn't, like, upgrade some of the houses around here. Make them a little bit nicer. Make them a place where you would want to live at. So there we go. It'll actually tell you all the effects, too, when you click on this. So it'll say improve small size living space, extra bedroom, average pregnancy chance, 4 residents instead of 3, happiness plus 5. It does cost you resources, so be ready for that. But I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, we can go through, and these renovations should be pretty simple. Like, they should get them done pretty quickly. And then what'll happen is all of our people will condense one by one of these houses, and we'll end up with a couple of extra houses that just don't need to be messed with. This I don't think can be upgraded again after this, though, so we'll want to be careful about that for whatever reason. I don't know what the point of those beams are on top of the house, but structurally, I don't know why they did that. They did it for some reason. I'm not going to question it. We've got time for resource gathering, so have them go out here and pretty much just grab everything that's a field over here because I don't want to waste those resources. And then we'll make a little cut and we'll come back once we've got all the things that we need in order to make it through. Okay, so we've got a pretty good building space out here. I'm going to get going with some extra stuff. So I'm thinking we don't have the workers right now to full on, like, develop and do crazy stuff. But we do have enough workers right now to start throwing down on other things that'll make people happier and more fertile and have more children and that kind of stuff. And so as you can see, they should have spread out a little bit and, like, run all over the place. We've got a 5-year-old over here, or no, we've got a teenager. We've got a fisherman. How many young folks do we have? We got a couple of teenagers right there. Basically, I just need more people who are, like, living and working, and it looks like we got a couple more coming for right now. The initial population creep in this game does take a bit, so stick with it. It's not that bad. It just takes time. We can also make fields out here for farmers, but once again, we has no workers. We has no workers, and so we're kind of stuck waiting until we actually have those. So our first winter is upon us. We got a couple things done in here. The things you want to watch out for in winter, I just wanted to talk about this briefly. So the stuff you want to watch out for in winter is that their clothing is going to wear out. In general, their firewood supply is going to go down pretty rapidly because if you look in every single house, they've got a little bit of food and they've got a little bit of firewood. You can fix that problem by making a lumberjack's lodge, as far as I recall. So you've got a forester's lodge, he chops logs. The lumberjack's log should turn those logs into firewood, should you desire them. Then there's also like a charcoal kiln and a couple of other things that you can do with the logs as you harvest them. But as it stands right now, we're kind of in a position where we've had 2 of our teenagers grow up, so that's good. I mean, that's a plus. We've got a couple more teenagers that are on the rise. I think they become adults at like 7 years old. Things were different back then, man. Things were different back then. You had to grow up quick because there was bears and owls and shit that would just snatch you up off the ground and eat you. It was an ugly, ugly world back then, and you had to be ugly in return. What I'd like to see is actually if we could get a hunter's lodge out here somewhere, that'd be pretty swell. I'm going to put in a hunting cabin like right here. Simply based on the fact that with a hunter's cabin right there, he should be able to finish off all the game in the area. What that's going to allow me to do, it's going to allow me to front stock some leathers and some hides so that later on we can start a biker gang. No, it's so that later on we can actually make more clothing. Because you need to grow cotton in this game, you need to have leathers, you need to have all kinds of stuff, otherwise they're not going to have the good clothing they need in order to thrive and be happy. Not going to be able to make it. I suppose I'll assign some people to fisherman duty. I mean, we're pulling in a lot of fish right now. Just don't rely on fish as a long-term resource, would be my advice to you. Fish tend to be really good in the early game, but fish aren't good enough to feed, like, massive populations because I think the calorie values are actually lower on them. This is one of those weird... Yeah, the calorie values are really low on fish, and so people go through the food very quickly. I'm going to take them off of there, and now that we have hunters, we'll put a couple hunters in here, and they'll start hunting these little piggies and boars and things that are around. And that way, we can actually get ourselves fed on meat, and we can get ourselves some furs as well. And seeing as we've got so many people around that need to, or there's so many animals around that just need to be cleared out at the moment, They should do pretty well at this. I don't think they'll struggle with it. In fact, there's some furs right there. Very nice. And so they're bringing in some hides. We're doing a little bit of tanning. Our city smells awful. I don't know if you've ever been to a tannery, but it's pretty bad. I like how he walks up and he just clunks the animal in the head. Like, you think it's going to be some sophisticated, like, bow hunting thing. And he just walks up, he's like, bap, just hits him with a stick made out of rock or something. It's like, Jesus. Hunting techniques are not super solid right now. Oh, that's worth as much as bread. Okay, so meat's a little bit better. They will eat that pretty quickly because I think they prioritize taking things that are, like, better for them. Still 7 villagers, though. So are they going to fight that bear right there? Please don't fight that bear. I don't think you can fight a bear with a stick. I wouldn't do it. It's manly as all hell. Like, you got a pair that clank if you try that one. But wouldn't recommend it. Dude, trees are growing all over my city. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, the game is called Forest Village. If I strip everything down into, like, an empty field, it's kind of not living up to... Oh, my God, that is the brightest field I've ever seen in my life. Is there a way to make that go away? It's a little too bright in winter. There we go. I had to kill the bloom effect. Now, had to kill the blooming effect. No, it looks a little bit better now. I mean, it's a little bit more matte at the moment, but I'd rather have that than the weird glowing ambiance that everything had up until I did this, so I can live with it now. I can live with it. Probably chop down these trees pretty shortly, too. But other than that, oh, we've got a few more people that have grown up. Good. Well, let's assign some just, like, little menial tasks. Just bullshit work. It's just, you know, chop down some trees or something. I'll chop down a couple of the trees over here, and we'll just keep working on them. It's only 3 wood. That's fine. And once that's done, collect all resources. Like, it's perfectly fine if you go through and you go after, like, mining resources. I don't care. Like, grab whatever you can grab and add it to the stockpile. We need stone, we need everything. And you don't have a job, which means you get to do the shitty labor. That means you get to do the not-so-fun labor. Be careful about population explosions in this game, so occasionally you'll have, like, 40 people grow up at the same time once you get a little further in. I think, oh, I don't know how high I got my last season. I know I had a lot of people. Like, my city was huge. Like, it was getting really large. And it was getting to be very difficult with the population surges to maintain food supplies, because food supplies would just swing wildly in between harvest and winter. And sometimes they'd make it and sometimes they wouldn't, depending on how good the harvest was. If the hunters aren't doing anything anymore, if they have actually effectively killed everything in the area, I would like for this to be destroyed. I think we've got a menu in here somewhere that allows me to demolish a building. Yeah, there it is right there. So we'll go ahead and demolish that. That'll put everybody else on active standby duty so that they can go and do jobs. They got a little Z's above their heads. Little Z's above their heads mean they have no task and they're idle, even though they aren't actually idle. It's just when you get rid of their job, it means they're assigned to... Yeah, there it is. It means they're assigned to the job and there's no work to be done. And there's no place for them to work at, so they just walk around with a little Z above their head. Somebody should deconstruct that pretty soon if I had any builders. In actuality, I'll assign some builders to that so that that'll get done right there. And what I'd like to see is just the continued development of kind of this street right here. Oh, we don't have any hay. Well, shit. Without hay, we ain't doing nothing, are we? Okay, so we gotta figure out this hay situation. I might be able to do with, if I go to the forestry section, I think there's somebody in here. We can do an orchard, we can do a gatherer's hut. Yeah, you know, a gatherer's hut doesn't sound too bad. I would like to get some more hay. I don't know if the gatherer will handle that. But let me take a look around here and see what I can find. There we go. Gather some hay. We just need tons and tons of hay. And I don't care how far out I have to send you to go get it. Just go get me hay because we're being hampered at the moment in our constructive efforts. Alright, I've let them do the thing for a little bit. I actually canceled out a lot of the tasks over here. I think they were bugged out on a task because they were just hanging out around town and they weren't doing any of the stuff that was over here. Like, they were just hanging out in town, not moving, and so I canceled it and reassigned the task, and it seems to have worked perfectly fine. No biggie. It happens in management games like this. I mean, I've come to expect it, to be fair. I can actually put in a gatherer's hut over here, which I think would be a wise idea. But if I'm going to put in the gatherer's hut, I should also put in some kind of storage facility over here so that the gatherer can actually have the things. Like, you don't want the gatherer walking all the way back to town because it's a waste of time. And so I think I would want to build a barn over here too. Now, that's a bit of a waste, But actually, I'm going to build the city in this direction anyways, and I think our crop fields are going to be like out here. And so a barn and a warehouse over here would not be the worst application. Oh, wow. We lost a child and a mother during childbirth. It is medieval times. These things did happen back then pretty frequently. Hell, they happen a surprising amount now. Yeah, people lose kids nowadays in childbirth still. And so even with modern medical technology, it's just like sometimes something goes wrong and there's just nothing you can do about it. It's sad, but it is what it is, you know? It's part of being a biological organism. Sometimes things go wrong. You can't always rely on everything to go right. That is the truth. So we lost the child and we lost the laborer. So that's the rough part right there, is that we lost a piece of our workforce and we lost a contribution to our future. However, teenager Eleanor has grown up and is now ready to work, so there is happy news right there. We've got another body that we can fling at the slave pits just in case we need to get things done. And the things that need to get done is I need somebody to traipse around the forest with no shoes on, picking up fruits and nettles and everything else that'll be around. We had a baby born. I really like this game. I do. I sincerely. Life is Feudal Forest Village had a lot of technical issues when it came out. When I played it the first time, it crashed probably every 5 to 7 minutes on me, which made doing like a YouTube series an absolute nightmare. It was really difficult to do a series on it just because of the sheer amount of times I had to like replay the last 5 minutes, replay the last 4 minutes. I haven't had any crashes since I started playing it up this time. And actually, one of the things I very much like about this game is I think it expands upon the ideas that Banished put in. Like, Banished is a good game, but the way I always felt about Life is Feudal Forest Village is that it's like Banished with a little bit extra. And there's enough time and space in between the two games to where I think both games are distinct from one another. Like, Banished was the precursor, it was the game that had the initial idea. And Life is Feudal Forest Village saw what Banished did. It was like, yeah, I could do that, but I could also add more stuff. And that's the way that I differentiate the two, is that I think Banished plays a little bit faster. Life is Feudal Forest Village plays a little bit slower. Life is Feudal is a little bit more about supply chains and a little bit more about making sure things don't, like, you've got to set up supply chains. You can set up like trade caravans, you can set up ships and stuff like that, which I don't think you could do in Banished. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff in this game that just wasn't available. What is that right there? Oats. Okay, we've also got vegetables. We've got some fruits that they're pulling out of there. What I really wanted, though, was medicinal herbs. Can I assign that here, or do you need a different person to do medicinal herbs? That's the only reason I built that, actually, is we don't really need the food. What we need is the herbs. I wanted a future stock in case people got sick. And I think sickness comes in like 3 or 4 years. They start hitting you with sickness. And so we've got a herbalist's hut. Maybe that's what I wanted then. Well, balls out. I messed up. We're going to have to wait till more people grow up before we can get anything else finished off over here. A lot of this game is just going to be you, like, sitting around waiting for stuff to happen in the beginning. It is not a fast-paced game in the first, probably... I'd say the game picks up after the first 4 or 5... 3 or 4 hours. Like, 3 or 4 hours... Oh, shit, that's not good. I don't think I have a well, either. I think you need a well in order to stop that from happening, to put out fires. Yeah, I completely and totally forgot about the well. Let's go ahead and do that so we don't have any Ricky-Tikki-Timbo situations. It looks like we've got another person expecting a baby. That house is looking a little bit the worse for wear. I'm assuming the builder will come over and probably patch it back together. Yeah, the builders are over here swanging hammers and doing their thing. And then we've also got a well coming up right here. And so there it is. Our well's been taken care of. I prefer to play this game on 10x until I get way further in. Just because there's not a lot of stuff to do at the beginning of the game. It's mostly just you waiting for things to happen. We can check all of our buildings, see what our housing situation's looking like. We can definitely afford to expand right now, so let's go ahead. We can do a big old, like, flop house over here. We don't have enough stone for it. Instead, let's go for normal houses. I'm going to try and keep people happy here. Where I would prefer to have, like, that's going to be 20, so I've got enough to do 3 of these off the current stone that I have. Well, there you go. That should line them up for a hell of a task. And I don't really want it to be like... Oh, I can't build right there. Never mind then. Can I rotate it? Or is what's causing the problem over here? Oh, yeah, you have to terraform in this game. I forgot. That was one of my less favorite aspects of this game, is that the buildings don't auto-build on inclines. You've actually got to go through with a terraforming tool and, like, flatten the ground, and your workers actually have to, like, work on it. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. What I could do here is I could bring that down like so. And that would give us a little bit more room to play with. Or... let me see what I can do here. Because that'll give us a big old steep incline right there that I don't want. Can I? Stove fuel reserves are low. Okay, so we need a lumberjack's camp. Let's build a lumberjack's camp very quickly before that problem. I'm lucky it made that little noise, otherwise I wouldn't have noticed. It went bling! Lumberjack's Lodge. Yeah, you see, like, it's weird with some of the construction in this game. It's not a feature that I particularly like about the game. It's one of those things that actually bothers me a little bit. I kind of wish that it just flattened the ground automatically when you place things on the ground like it does in a lot of other games. But it doesn't. And you know, it's tough to complain about things that... We'll finish off this housing job right here. A child died during birth. Man, we are not having good infant mortality right now. They are not making it. We'll go ahead and get a lumberjacks camp up. Then we'll assign some of these extra construction workers to go over and be lumberjacks for a bit. Or we can take gatherers. I mean, frankly, we have so much food right now that we don't really need gatherers at the moment. I can assign them all to be wood choppers and get their hands rough and dirty out there working that wood all day with both hands. I mean, we are called Booty Brook after all. We like to work that wood with both hands. Is what we do. It's how we make our money. It's how we make our living. It's how we feed our children. And can't nobody turn their nose up at us because we're proud and strong and enabled. Let's go ahead and we'll put in 3 right there. And I'm pretty sure these cats over here are just going to start chopping wood. That'll take from our log supply, and it should put into our fire supply. Yeah, there it goes right there. And if we're going to have winter, then we want to make sure that we get that done. Otherwise, it's going to be problematic in a lot of different ways. Why you got a wagon wheel on your roof, bro? Like, why is that necessary? Why is the wagon wheel a part of, like, you should worry about that ivy issue, too, man. You got too much ivy on your house. That ivy's going to eat away at the stone, man. It's going to cause problems for you. You and your kin and your kith. Although I never knew what a kith was. I was like, what's kith? Kith and kin? Like, what the hell is a kith? It sounds like a race from, like, a really bad MMO. They're probably a cat people race. I'll be honest. They sound like a cat people race. They'd be like, what can we add to our MMO to make it unique? I don't know. Call them the kith. Put ears on them and a tail and ship it. And it's just like, you know, that's the way that it goes when you're in the MMO industry. We'll get that wood supply back up. Actually, I'll probably let them chop that up to 300, 400 firewood just to make sure that we've got a really good supply of it. And then I'll let it be. Well, some time has passed. I just let the game run for a little bit because there wasn't particularly anything engaging that I could give you right now in order to let you know what's going on. Over here, I set up a big terraforming project. Basically, they've added a new tool to the game that didn't exist the last time I played called Flatten at Height. And you click on Flatten at Height, and this tool is pretty cool. You pick the height you want it to be at after you click it, and then from there, you just drag and paint, and it will create like a big ditch area, essentially, where you can build stuff in one direction. So, for example, down this way, what I did is I selected a height of right there, and then this entire beach area is going to be at that height, and there will be like a bluff behind the city, almost like a defensive bluff, I guess, or like it's bad for flooding, but it's great for making sure that you've got a windbreak on all the houses and everything. At the moment, it's telling me that my food supply is low, but I think it's bullshitting. I don't think it's real. We got a whole bunch of kids that are ready to grow up and become full-on workers. Yeah, tool reserves are low. That was something that I was looking at, and I was slightly concerned about. I think we can fix that if we have a carpenter's shop or something like that. Pretty sure there's like a carpenter's shop or like the carpenter's shop right here, where we can make primitive tools if we've got that available. And I could set that right there, but I wanted to wait until the terraforming job was done. Unless I could squinch this in. That actually works right there. Yeah, we can squinch it in on the bluff right there. And we'll find out if he's facing the ocean or not in just a minute. Builders, go do your thing. It's going to take a lot of you to get this done over here. Like, the building over here is probably going to take the better part of the entire winter. But the lucky part about that is that there ain't shit going on in the winter anyway. So who cares? You know, it turns into one of those things where winter tends to be a dead period for your characters anyways. So why concern yourselves about it? food supplies are getting hit a little bit, and we've got enough children right now to where I'm thinking within the next couple years, we're going to have a population explosion. We're really going to want to be ready for that. We're going to want to have like farming in place and other stuff ready to happen before we let that go. But aside from that, my name is Splattercat. This is our check-in on Life is Feudal Forest Village. So far, stability issues appear to have increased by loads. I've had no crashes or anything playing the game so far. It looks like usability is still at an all-time high. What I always liked about this game is that it's very easy to figure out. This is not a hard game to play. It's a game where the difficulty is in the management aspect of the game, not necessarily in the figuring out the UI part of the game, which I find that a lot of indie games fall into that trap where the UI is just annoying, and so like all the difficulty of the game is kind of wrapped up in the UI. This is not that game. This is not that game. We'll come back with another episode after this terraforming is done. Let me know what you think down below if you wanted to see a little bit more of Life is Feudal. There's a lot of game here that we've never seen. We probably had about 20 hours in our last series, and they've added castles to the game. I mean, they've added like road signs and carnivals and training dummies, I think, or scarecrows or something. I mean, they've added all kinds of random stuff in here that you can now play around with. And so if you guys want to do an extended series, let me know. I will gauge your interest. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for stopping on in. This is the Nerd Castle. I'm Splattercat. If you like what I do, check out my Patreon. It's in the description down below. It's a great way to support me and also get access to Discord servers and stuff like that. I'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody.